survey, I'm going back, and that's going to be part of your basis for how you determine who's your first group?
It would almost serve as an invite or a conversation. We bounced around the idea of an application, we bounced around the idea of a couple of different things. We wanted to get a gauge on where our teachers were, where our administrators were, where our learning communities were. So the survey, you have access to that. It's under the action plan. So there is a survey that we have that we've started of what we would put, and Jesse was working on that very diligently. The idea is we would look at that data and then start having some conversations. Is this something that you would be interested in? We didn't want to put out an application that said, hey, sign up for a multi-age classroom opportunity, because we were worried that that would become very, very overwhelming. So we approached it in a more subtle way that we can then open up conversations with administration, principals, those folks, and looking at that. And our budget also is very detailed, and you do have a copy of that for that kind of professional development as well. That's where all of our money is, in fact, is in professional development.
And is the number in this budget in professional development a per teacher number? How many teachers?
We are looking right now at a total of 6 teachers.
So 3 teachers.
That does have some flexibility. We might say 5 to 10,000. Like, oh, we should do that. But
so this cost is a 6-teacher cost?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was saying.
And would you open that up to different schools, focus it in one school?
It would,
what would that look like?
We would like to have 3 different schools.
Okay. And then like teams of teachers from each one of those schools?
Yes, a 4th and 5th grade teacher from each
From
school.
like 3 different schools would be ideal?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so a part of the timeline is to select, so, because if you get, you know, the demand is much higher than just 2 teachers from 3 different schools, how would you select the teams? What criteria would you use?
We actually spoke last night about looking at the survey that we've created and doing some ranking. We used the Charlotte Danielson tool to look at goal setting. And so we have teachers that have specific goal setting needs within personalized learning, within actually looking at students taking ownership of learning. We would actually rank those a little bit higher so that we were meeting the needs of teachers and the goals that they've set in front of them. And this would be one way that they could move towards proficient and distinguished. So we would look at scoring and having almost a scale to make those decisions. But I think some of those decisions are also going to we're going to make through conversation. You know, once we say this is what you're signing on for, if there's that hesitation or somebody says, I'm not really sure that this is where we want to head, then we would look at those other options because we want the buy-in. We need the buy-in for this to be successful.
And that's what I want to add to that and really underscore is that every bit of research and every principal, every teacher that I've talked to that is in a multi-age setting has overwhelmingly said if the teachers don't believe in it, it's never going to work. So our inventory is looking at who may be the most ready to take this on, who may we need to have those conversations with so that we can determine.
And we want our teachers to know when they're signing on, they're not necessarily signing on for the full-blown multi-age classroom. They're signing on to participate in multi-age learning opportunities. And that's embedded in our professional development. You know, let's look at math data, how did you rearrange your kids? Now let's go try it, come back, reflect on it, look. Now let's look at regroup for interest. Let's regroup looking at power hour. Let's regroup looking at other data. So they're going to be doing that for the next year and a half with the ultimate goal that they will find so much value and students are growing so much academically that they're absolutely ready to move forward into the multi-age classroom itself. And then this could be replicated and grown because of the iTunes and documenting the work along the way and looking at other funding and that type of thing to move forward.
Have you thought about how you could incorporate special ed teachers into this kind of a model? I mean, I don't know what your special ed structure is in this county, but.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, when we look at multi-age, it's learning for all.
Right.
It is not exclusion in any way, shape, or form. So the idea is that and that's what we think actually benefits and those students who benefit so much because we're not just looking at them as a number or data on a standardized test. We're looking at interests, we're looking at the multiple strengths. Those twice exceptional students who bring a wide range of gifts to the classroom so that they would be in with a wide variety of different peers learning through the content, through the Common Core State Standards, through the formative and formative assessments. So we see our special ed as not a separate part of big ed.
But I'm also thinking that when you do this training, to have that teacher sit at the table, so you have
Oh,
another
Mhm.
resource.
Oh, absolutely, because as they're talking, they're gonna be our experts on scaffolding and actually moving students, we have the same goal, but how are we gonna get this student versus this student there? Absolutely.
One more? So clearly you've looked around at models outside of Washington County. Have you had conversations with assessment and other people within Washington County that have you had the conversations with people yet about fertile ground for this should it become the norm? Should it become a possibility?
So are you asking me whether or not we've had conversations as to whether this work would work or where we know this work could work?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And in fact, I'm glad you brought that up. We have on here, the multi-age learning opportunities. These are things that are currently beginning and happening in Washington County. They are things that, okay. So, math academies, vertical reading, interest clubs, Exeter math regrouping. And we try to put examples of that range all the way from interest to map data to formative assessment. We have currently at our school, we actually have 4th and 5th grade teachers who are unpacking rubrics grades 3 through 6 to look at basic to exceeding standards and regrouping students. So we try to find a range, also the Genius Hour, which is, a very strong initiative with the PBL, the gaming, those kinds of things, so it would vet all of that. But yes, we have had these conversations about planting the seed of interest.